Great. Welcome everyone to the Town of Greater Napanee regular session of council for the 27th day of January 2026. Just before we call the meeting to order, I just want to remind everyone that this evening's meeting is being live streamed via our YouTube channel. So welcome to the folks that are here in the body of the council chambers. Welcome to those that are at home watching, and welcome to those that will be watching either tomorrow or the next day or next week. So having said that, we'll call the meeting to order, and we'll start this evening's meeting with the playing of our national anthem. So if I get to get those in the council chambers to stand and face the flag, we'll play our national anthem. Thank you, everyone. Moving on through our agenda, we'll look for a motion to adopt the agenda as presented. Moved by Councillor Shank, second by Councillor Davey. If there's no further comments, questions, or concerns, all in favor of that motion? Opposed? Motion's carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof? Seeing none. Deputations, scheduled deputations. We have a couple of scheduled deputations this evening. The first deputation is Ed Alexander and possibly other Gerow residents. Mr. Alexander, you're here this evening to speak to us with respect to some signage. Come on up, sir. And I don't think you've been here before. You've got the maiden voyage with some brand new microphones that we have there. So you'll see in front of you the microphone. You just have to push the button and you'll see a little green light, and that will make the microphone live. So you don't have to push it any other than that unless when you're finished speaking, and then just push the button. If not, the mic will remain live. And so thank you, sir, for being here this evening. And we'll get you just to identify, just to give the clerk her name for the record.
First of all, I'd like to apologize. My hearing is not what it should be, so if I missed something, I apologize.
Yeah. You just let us know if you don't hear us well, and I can speak a whole lot louder if I have to. So yeah. We'll just get your name for the record, sir.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. No, no. First of all, I'd like to introduce Mr. Larry McTaggart and Mr. Grant Hanna. We all live on the Gerow Road, and there's a family there that has a little boy about 3 years old, and he has autism. Now, I know the town has put up signs on each side of the residence, but you know as well as I do, or you should, people don't read signs. And if they do, they ignore them. A prime example, the four-way stop at the hospital. So if something happens, this little boy, he escapes the house. It has happened quite a few times. And this family is left with a burden that they have to carry every day, 24 hours. So what we would like to see happen is a yellow light, flashing yellow light put up there somewheres in the vicinity of the mailbox, I guess, with a double sign on it. Autism child. Slow down, whatever needs to be on it. I'm not so sure it would work, but nothing works if you don't try it. And I know the other neighbors are on board of this too. Having said that, if the council says they can't do it, I would like to leave you with this thought. If anything happens to this little boy, and it's because somebody has some reason, good or bad, that's not up to me to judge. It'll be on all of your conscience if something happens to this little boy. And if it doesn't do something to your conscience, there is something terribly wrong with you. I don't have much more to say except if this was your child, what would your wish be? I understand you'll probably give me a lot of reasons, rules and regulations and so on and so forth. But there is an old saying that rules are made to be broken for a good reason. And I cannot think, for the life of me, a better reason than this to try and support the family and to try and support that little boy because he doesn't know what he's doing. So if anybody would like to ask me a question about this, I'd be happy to answer. Other than that, I've made my point on what we want, and I'll just leave it at that.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Alexander. Just hang tight and we'll see if council has any questions for you first of all.
Thank you.
Council, do you have any questions? Go ahead, Councillor Hicks.
Thank you, through you, Your Worship. Hi, Mr. Alexander. Are there already signs posted on each side of the residence? Like
There are two signs, one on each side of the residence. But as I said, there's also 60-mile speed limit on that road. But I don't think anybody can read the signs that go there. You get my point about signs. They don't do any good. They never have and they never will. But if something happened, if something happened on that road, for instance, if they were speeding, and they could say, I didn't know that. Well, I guess you must be something wrong with you because there's signs there. You may get my point about signs. A light, that's a different kettle of fish altogether. One flashing yellow light with a double-sided sign on it. Well, then if something did happen to that little boy, people can't say, I didn't know.
Thank you.
Yep, go ahead, Councillor Shank.
Yeah, so what that Mike goes ahead and brings a report back to the council, what optics are, what we can do, what we can't do. All right, and if Mike could bring a report back to the next council meeting and saying, you know, what is feasible, what isn't feasible, but that we can get something for a yellow light, exactly what Mr. Alexander said, to maybe help out these people and that little boy and for safety reasons.
Thanks, Councillor Shank. Is there any other questions? I got a quick question for Mr. Alexander. Mr. Alexander, you had a couple of retired policemen on this council. Have you had an opportunity to get a hold of the OPP and see if they come down there, do a bit of a blitz? Or do you know if the neighbors have?
Would you repeat that again? I'm sorry. I know you said a couple OPP officers on, retired OPP officers here.
Myself and you have Councillor Norrie, who's a retired Hamilton Police Department.
Okay.
So I was wondering if, have you or the neighbors had the opportunity to call the OPP and say, listen, we got some problems down here with people speeding. Can you come down and do a bit of a blitz?
Well, let me answer that in this way. There was an elderly gentleman riding one of those scooters they ride on up on Bridge Street, halfway to the hospital. No reflection on it whatsoever. Absolutely none. Just a black blob. I spoke to 2 police officers sitting in cruisers. Well, they said, we can't do anything about it. Well, I said, you're sitting in a police cruiser in uniform. That seemed funny to me. So they sent me over to the detachment. I told them, and they gave me a card with an 800 number on it. What's the point of talking to the policeman?
Thank you, sir. Is there, go ahead, Councillor Norrie.
Just to help you out there, I'm on the services board and I meet with the OPP regularly. I'll be meeting with the commander on Thursday. I will bring this up to him as well. So he's aware of your concerns through us and ask him to have someone up there to see what they can do to help until we find out about the signs or the flashing lights, okay?
Yes, but at the same point, you can't have a policeman sitting there 12 hours a day. What I said about signs, they don't mean anything to anybody.
Great, thank you, Councillor Norrie. Thank you, sir. Is there any other questions? Seeing none, Councillor Shank, yeah, that's going to be part of the recommendation that I look for a motion to note and receive the deputation from Mr. Alexander regarding warning signs, and further that council requests staff to report back regarding the requested change to the regulatory signs bylaw and maybe any other options that are available that were within our purview. So, Madam Clerk, do you have what you need? Deputy Mayor Calvary, you're going to move that motion? And do we have a seconder? Councillor Martin. Is there anything further with respect to the motion that's on the floor? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion that's on the floor? Opposed, the motion is carried. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming to our council chambers this evening, and thank you for bringing this to our attention. And we'll have staff bring back a report.
Our thanks on behalf of my 2 neighbors here and myself. Thank you for the council for listening to us. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, sir. Next matter, we have a deputation from Graham Copestake from Trenval. So come on up, sir. And I know that you haven't been here before, but you'll see the microphones that are in front of you. If the light is lit and it's green, that means that the mics are live. So I'm not sure who wants to start, but we'll get you to both just to identify yourselves. And when you're done speaking, just push the button so that the mic's not live. So Graham, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you, thank you to Council for having us today. So we're here to represent Trenval Business Development Corporation. My name is Graham Copestake, and I am the Executive Director.
My name is Amy Rushlow, and I'm the Office and Communications Administrator for the Small Business Center.
Thanks, Amy. Thank you, Amy. And we're excited to be here tonight. This is an awareness sort of presentation, and it is to, if you don't know about us, make you aware of who we are and what we do. So Trenval Business Development Corporation is a non-for-profit. We're located in the Pioneer Building on Loyalist College campus. We offer 2 programs, one of which is the Community Futures Program. So if you're familiar with that, you have representation through PELA. The executive director there, Owen Callan, would be able to help you with that program. But that's not the program that we're here to talk to you about tonight. It's actually the Small Business Center program, which is provincially funded through the Ministry of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade. And so just wanted to sort of set up a little bit of the foundation for why we're here today, which is we support small businesses and entrepreneurs. So being such a large driver of the economy, we think it's important to get out, raise awareness about the unique value proposition that we have as an organization, so that if you're ever out and you come across anyone in the constituency that requires some supports, we're here to help. And so I'm going to pass it off to Amy here to walk us through our core offerings and kind of summarize at the end what our strategic intent is, because we are taking a different approach, which is why we're here today. So Amy, take it away.
Thanks, Graham, and thank you, Your Worship and Council. To get started, so we're the Small Business Center. We're located in the Pioneer Building at Loyalist College. There's 54 Small Business Center offices across the province. And we serve Belleville, Quinte West, Hastings, Prince Edward County, and Lennox and Addington. Our team is a small team of myself, and we're currently hiring for a small business center operations manager that I'll let Graham speak to more later. But with this new addition, we're hoping to serve our catchment area in a more strategic way. For me, I take care of all of our workshops and events, along with I help facilitate 2 grant programs. One is Summer Company for students, and the other one, probably more well-known, would be our Starter Company grant. And I will talk more to those later. I should also say one of our main core offerings is small business advisory services. So again, I can talk more to that later. And here are some of our success stories. So most of them you might be familiar with, but they are mainly from Quinte West and Belleville area. But we're hoping to sort of expand our reach, and hopefully we'll have some more from Lennox and Addington in the near future. So here's more about how we some of our outreach initiatives. So we run 4 events every year, as well as we facilitate a number of small business development workshops monthly, as well as we have a weekly e-newsletter. And you'll also find us out at a lot of career fairs so that we can promote entrepreneurship opposed to self-employment. And more on the grants. So Starter Company is a grant program for new and expanding businesses who are eligible to apply for up to $5,000 worth of startup funding. This could be help new businesses with advertising, equipment, training, just to name a few. And we also match you with a mentor and have a comprehensive training component as well. For Summer Company, this is a grant program for students 15 to 29 returning to school in the fall. And the idea is to sort of get younger people thinking about entrepreneurship as a career. We offer all sorts of hands-on training and opportunities for these students to really break into the entrepreneurship realm. And this is a grant for up to $3,000. And we also encourage the students to continue with their business after the program. So just to talk more about those advisory services that we offer. So that can be we'll help businesses anywhere from ideation to succession. We really want to see businesses continue to scale and help them. So a lot of the time businesses come to us when something's wrong or they're in a panic, but we really want to continue to encourage these businesses and entrepreneurs to come to us when the good stuff happens too, so that we can help them continue that growth in a positive and scalable way. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Amy. Go ahead, Graham.
Thank you. Thank you, Amy, for such a concise summary of our offerings. I've been in my role for 8 months, so I'm relatively new as the executive director. And as any good leader does, when you get into your role, you go out and do an environmental scan. Try to understand how we're servicing people in our catchment zone, and are we doing it to the standard that we expect of ourselves? Which is why I'm here today, because as I've been going out to the outer regions, I've been noticing that we have a brand awareness problem. Some folks either don't know that we exist or are unfamiliar with our offerings. And so we wanted to make sure that while, it's important for us to service Belleville and Quinte West being such densely populated areas, they're not the only areas within our catchment zone. And we need to make sure that we have equal distribution of service delivery. So beyond going out and spreading the gospel as we are now about our services and how we're able to help, we also want to make sure that we reposition ourselves to ensure that we aren't falling short of those standards in the future. So as we've been looking, and as Amy had pointed out, we are in the search for a new manager, and we are re-exploring how we deliver that service offering. And so historically up to this point, it has been largely a walk-in service. So if you were in Napanee and you wanted to get our services, you would generally come in, book an appointment, and you would be able to sit in an office with somebody and get some excellent counsel. We're still going to provide that service, but we are looking for somebody that is able to scale with us. And we look to bring in a net new position over time that's going to be a little bit more mobile. A position that, if you're familiar with the small business coach that Hastings County had, or Lennox and Addington at large, it'd be something similar in that capacity, where trying to understand what your strategic priorities are and try to couple that with the advice that we're providing to small businesses within the county, so that we can actually see some actual KPIs being hit, key performance indicators for those listening, that reflect your goals from an economic development standpoint. While it's great for us to provide counsel to small businesses, it also falls short when we come and speak to folks like you in terms of how it's going to have tangible impact on the initiatives as you think about the fulsome picture of the area that you serve. And so that is why we're here today. We look forward to any questions that you may have, and we hope that we see you again in the future.
Great, thank you, sir. Just hang tight. We'll see if any questions for council. Go ahead, Councillor Hicks.
Thank you, through you, Your Worship. And you may have said this, and I did catch that you're one of 54 small business enterprise centers. How are you funded?
You want?
We're provincially funded through the Ministry of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade.
So how do you report to the provincial government? What route do you report through? Because I'm assuming you have some KPIs that you have to provide back to them on an annual or semi-annual basis.
Absolutely, semi-annually, and we also do monthly reporting. So there is a portal that the ministry has set up for all of us within the network to provide those metrics month over month, and then in totality throughout the year in terms of those two interim and fulsome annual report. So we do have those. I also happen to sit on the board of directors for the SBC Ontario board, and so through that I also help with strategic positioning as it relates to metrics for the entire province.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Hicks. Go ahead, Councillor Shank.
I think it's an excellent, I'll be honest with you, I didn't even know you existed. So the point is we had I had a couple of young ladies started their own business last year in a rural part of the municipality and did fantastic. Now they're still struggling and learning, like any business needs to learn. And you have a grant application here also. So if those ladies were sent to you, and if they need any like help for advertisement or anything else, because they became so busy that if you went to their location, there was a long lineup of people, and you're going, oh, jumps, lineups. Well, how about, they have a phone number that we can phone ahead, and then, you know what I mean? They tell us, say it's a half an hour wait and we'll have your order ready or whatever. But when they did that, and I told them there's certain things like that, but I'm not a professional in that area. So all I'm saying is people like this that you have and that are provincially funded also, that they can, you know, pick your brains or maybe apply for the grant or whatever way to help them up. Because all these little, I'm a farmer, so if you don't plant these seeds, you don't expect anything to grow. And it's small business that drives the country, all right, that hires the majority of the people. So the more small business and more, I like the 15 to 29 because heck, if I was in high school and I needed a summer job and I started a window washing business or started a lawnmower business or landscaping business, you know, and I had a truck, an old beat up truck or whatever, and mom and dad are busy, they're not self-employed, then I'd go, hey, you know what? Go see these people. They might be able to help you out and steer you out and do a business plan or whatever together. So thank you very much for coming in. And I think it'll be great to, because I'm going to have our recreation director and have this ladies that can give you that number and then they can contact you. So there we go. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. And we would be happy to work with those ladies that own that business. And our next intake for our starter grant will be in the spring of 2026. So we'd be happy to work with them until then and after to help them continue with their growth. Thanks.
If I may, thank you, Counselor. You know, to reflect Amy's point, always excited to talk to people that are doing it. And, you know, if you've been a small business owner, it's not an easy gig. And, you know, if we can provide any sort of supports, that's what really gets us up in the morning. And just wanted to touch quickly on the point around the 18 and 29-year-olds and students. We've recently been going out to the schools and talking to the different boards and trying to understand, is there a way that we can catch these kids with the dreams or the ambitions to start something that doesn't exist right now? And we're having some great traction. So I hope that, in time, we can come back and report some success stories to you so that we can show you that there's a little proof in the pudding of what we're doing.
Yep, go ahead, Mike.
The reason why I think it's an excellent idea is because I had a young gentleman that worked for me and went out in the oil fields and they had to, they're in there for 6 or 7 weeks. And I told him, I said, and he was complaining about, being housed with this and it wasn't correct and washing and everything else. I said, why don't you get a surplus army tent and take it out there and hire some of the locals and there's some other ladies up there that can do all the cooking and everything else. And then anybody that stays in one of your tents, you can charge a fee. Well, make a long story short, he's making more money doing that than working on the oil rigs. And he's following my suggestion of sending all his money back to his mom, so he doesn't waste it. So his mom, who's an accountant, she's investing it for him, and he's going to be retired long before. I think this is a success story. So without those seeds, you wouldn't get that. So I thank you.
Great, thanks, Mike. Go ahead, Councilor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of quick. I used to be in business at one time in town here, and we were members of Ontario Business Association. Do you charge a fee to businesses like to join or be associated with? I know you said that the provincial government funds you, but I was just wondering if there was an additional fee.
So all of our services are completely free of charge.
Thank you. So do you work with just startup businesses or established businesses as well? Doesn't matter how long you've been in business, you can.
Yeah, businesses at any stage.
Thank you.
Great, thanks, Councilor Martin. Is there anything else? Yep, go
Just
ahead.
one final piece, and thank you, Councillor. On the note of size of businesses, while most of the businesses that we do serve are small, our mandate from a mission perspective is small, medium-sized enterprise. But that being said, we don't hold ourselves to that. We'll talk to anybody. Anyone that's experiencing a barrier, and we will, if we don't have the answer for you when you come in the door, we'll probably know somebody who does, and we'll be able to direct you in the right way. And so circling back on your original point there of, are we fee focused? The answer is no, and we really have no ego in the game. And so by virtue of that, we will just outsource or connect you with somebody who's going to solve your problem in the best way possible, assuming we're not those people.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that.
Great, thanks, Bill, and thanks, Graham. Is there anything else? If not, thank you folks for coming and thank you for doing what you're doing. And I know that you've sort of restructured and you're expanding your horizons, and thank you for thinking of the town of Greater Napanee. I know that for a number of years you were sort of focused in the Quinte area, but it's refreshing to see that, you know, we're on your mind for the future, and thank you for thinking of us. And I know that you've been in contact with some staff as well, so they you know, our staff has all those contact informations that if we need to get a hold of you, then we will be able to. So, but again, thank you for thinking of us. So having said that, we'll look for a
Thank
motion
you.
to note and receive the deputation from Graham Copestake and Amy Ruslow with respect to the Trenval business development. Moved by Councillor Hicks, second by Deputy Mayor Calver. If there's no further comments, questions, or concerns, all in favor of that motion? Opposed? The motion's carried. Thanks again, folks. Next up, we have deputations, items on the agenda, which I don't believe we have any. Correspondence, items on the agenda, which I don't believe we have any. We have no unfinished business, which will get us right into the administrative consent agenda. First up on the administrative consent agenda, we have the council minutes, the regular session of council January 13th, 2026, and the special session of council January 16th, 2026. Is there anything in any of those minutes that anyone had any questions or comments about? Seeing none. Committee minutes, Arts Advisory Committee. Is there anything in the Arts Advisory Committee minutes that anyone had any questions about? And Councillor Norrie, I know that's your portfolio, so go ahead.
Yes, I'm very artistic. Just as note, the date, I brought it up last time, the date of the awards night is February 26th. Everything's local, Doghouse. The awards are locally sourced and the caterer is locally sourced. So keep it in mind. I'll bug you the next month as well to attend, but it just isn't on the minutes, but it's February 26th. There'll be no snow that day.
Thanks, Bob. And you know, we're always fans of reminders. So go ahead, Ange.
Thank you, Your Worship. How much are the tickets, Bob? It's not in here.
Nothing. If you want an adult beverage, is cash, but other than that.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Great, thanks. If there's nothing else, we'll move on to the correspondence for information items dated January 27, 2026. Is there any of those information items anyone would like to have a chat about? Seeing none, council budget inquiry follow-up. We've got a follow-up from our budget discussions with a number of questions that council members had. Is there any further discussions, or is there any clarification that's going to be needed with respect to that follow-up? Seeing none, growth and infrastructure, council inquiry follow-up, Center and Bridge Street traffic lights. Is there any questions that we need to clarify on that? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Calver.
Thank you, through your worship. So they're talking here about the detection loop that was damaged during a repair. And it looks like the bill wants to come back onto us if we want to fix this. Is that something that the contractor, the locator, should be responsible for, or how does that work?
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, through your worship to Deputy Mayor Calver. So the cost to fix that loop would not come back to the town. The cost that you see referenced in the report is if the town wanted to see an advanced left turn signal installed, that was the estimate provided about 4 years ago. So what County Council has identified previously is that based on their traffic assessments, there's no warrant for a left turn lane, and they have the detection loop in place to deal with the traffic demand. But if the town really wanted to see an advanced left turn signal there, then we could have one installed at our cost. But as far as the loop being damaged, that is going to be borne by the county, and ultimately the county could seek the locate contractor to potentially cover that cost because they missed actually locating it.
Okay, thank you. Because if I think if that loop was working, it would, the lights are all timed to work together, but because we're missing that loop out of the system, the lights aren't working the way they're expected. I know I've had this conversation several times with Chris Wager over the term about the advanced greens, and he showed me and assured me various times that the advance would only back things up. However, until this loop is fixed, you're not going to see any improvement whatsoever. Thank you.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor Calver. And I think maybe it's something you and I can work on at our maybe subsequent county meeting and see if we can get some instructions going there to see about getting that thing fixed. But you and I can talk about that sometime between now and our next county meeting.
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Shane.
So with the grant that we've received, a lot of this is going to be mitigated from what I understand. All right, because another satellite's going in at another location, correct? That's all going to be coming in with the feasibility study and the engineering drawings that'll be done this year.
Through your worship, to Councillor Shank, yes. So the county's intent is to install traffic lights at what is the intersection? Graham and Center Street. So yeah, that would be installed during this project. When exactly? It could be in year 1 or year 2 of the project potentially, but yes, that is the ultimate intent to install that.
Thank you very much, Mike. Gonna continue. Everybody's very knowledgeable at the county level and municipal level and everything else. But the point is I call a little bit of, how do I say this nicely? Talking to the residents that are turning left on Bridge Street and saying that there isn't a problem, all right? That loop has got to be fixed or whatever it is. But all I'm saying is to say that there's no, you know how many very close calls that has been in there? I almost had one today. I had to turn left going towards the hospital there, and a guy was trying to catch the yellow light, and the roads were totally covered. If I wasn't a defensive driver, I would have been T-boned definitely there. So there's been other occasions throughout the municipality, but we're going to I'll leave this one away. Thank goodness there's that grant that's going to hopefully mitigate that. And you guys are going to solve the other problem, hopefully. And let's all play nice in the sandbox. Let's say that. And hopefully we can get something done in the meantime.
Great. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, I'm going to go to Bill and I'll come back to Ange. So go ahead, Bill.
Thank you, Mayor. I think we need to have an expanded conversation with the county because we used to have left turn signals there, and we had left turn signals on Highway 2 going up to Bridge Street, and now they got a no right on red, so it makes it even worse. I find it hard to believe we have less traffic now than we had years ago. That's strange to me. If they go by traffic counts, Mr. Nobes, I'm not, you know, I'm not questioning what you're saying, but I just find the county's logic is lacking somewhere. Just wanted to bring that up. I think you need to have an expanded conversation, not just on that one intersection.
And we have touched on some of those conversations. I can assure you, Councillor Martin, but you're absolutely right. I think we need to continue to have those conversations, especially with the growth that's happening within our municipalities. So I'm going to go to Ange and I'll go back to Brian.
Thank you, through you, Your Worship. So this is just a comment. The detection loop was cut in December of 2024. We're now in 2026, and when I read the report, the county dispatched a contractor in October 2025 when they first became aware of the issue. So we are expected to believe that the county was not aware that the vehicle detection loop was cut in December of 2024, almost a full year prior to when they went and investigated this. I think somebody has turned the heat up a little bit underneath them, and so now maybe they're starting to look at her. So I hope you really light a fire under this one, because I find that really quite something to read on a public report, that it took 10 months, despite the comments that the public has made repeatedly over several years. But thank you. That's all.
Yeah, I'll go to Brian first and then come back to you, Mike. So go ahead, Deputy Mayor Calver.
You're absolutely correct. The traffic counts have only went up. Actually, they found in some cases even doubled since 2016, sort of thing. And again, they've shown us, or shown me, because I've asked this several times, because the traffic has increased so much, if we put an advanced green in, that backs the traffic up that much more. Because you got to take the time from somewhere, whether the lights are on 20-second or 30-second or 45-second intervals. If you back up the lights because you got an advanced green, then you've got to have your green, then you got to go through your yellow, go through your red. That backs everything up even more. And the talk is, and they've been waiting on the town of Greater Napanee to have the funding to be able to do the infrastructure work when they redo this to put the lights in. So it's coming.
Yeah, I'm going to go to Mike, then I come back to you, Ange. Go ahead, Councillor Shank.
I'd just like to know, does the Sean, Chief, does the Opticon work at that in Center and Bridge? Like you're coming out of town, because I just want to know what else maybe it's not working there, because if a fire truck is needed at the south end of the municipality, a lot of times we had, and the fire trucks have an Opticon that could change those lights only for emergency purposes. But all I'm saying is that I didn't know if that was to work. You're not sure?
I think the chief could probably find out for us. Obviously, he'll find out and then come back to us. So, but thanks, Mike. And I got to go back to Ange. Go ahead, Ange.
Thank you, through your worship, to Deputy Mayor Calver. You and I have discussed this before, and I understand what you've been told by the county, and I'm not disputing that there would be traffic backed up. What I am questioning is the fact that they first became aware of the issue in October of 2025. So 10 months after that detection loop was cut. Do none of the county employees, whatever department they work in, drive on Center Street and Bridge Street? North, south, east, west? Because anybody that drives there would know within a week, not 10 months. So, and regardless of what happens on Graham Street, this definitely has to get fixed as soon as possible. When I have to say, when I read this report, I had to read it twice because I really couldn't quite process what it was that I was reading. Yeah, thank you.
Great. Thank you, Councillor Hicks. Is there anything else? Seeing none, rest assured we'll get to the bottom of it sooner than later, let's put it that way. So if there's nothing else, we'll move on to the next one, which is Napanee River Navigational Buoys and Boat Launch Reserve Fund. Is there anything in that report anyone had any questions or comments about? Seeing none, Executive Services, Ward 3 by-election summary. Is there anything in the Ward 3 by-election summary that anyone had any questions or comments about? Seeing none, Financial and IT Services bylaw to amend interim tax levy bylaw 2025-0086. Is there anything in that report that anyone had any questions or comments about? Seeing none, Executive Services Activity Report, January of 2026. Is there anything in that report that anyone had any questions or comments or would like any clarity on? Seeing none, Financial and IT Services Activity Report, January 2026. Is there anything in the Financial and IT Services Report that anyone, go ahead, Ms. Hamill.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to highlight that the interim tax bills are going to be mailed out next week with bag tags in them. We've gotten a few inquiries, so I just wanted to put that publicly that those will be issued next week.
Yep, thanks for bringing that up, Alan. I've had a couple of inquiries too, so thanks for bringing that up. If there's nothing further, the Parks, Recreation, and Culture Activity Report. Is there anything in that activity report anyone had any questions or comments about? Seeing none, Fire Department Activity Report and 2025 year-end information. Is there anything in that report that anyone had any questions or comments about? Seeing none, Growth and Infrastructure Activity Report. Anything in the Growth and Infrastructure Activity Report anyone had any questions or comments about? Seeing none, the Access E11 December 2025 report. Is there anything in the Access E11 report that anyone had any questions or comments about? Seeing none, and Growth and Infrastructure 12 Market Square offer to purchase closed session direction. Is there anything in that report that anyone had any comments about? Seeing none, so bear with me. We'll look for a motion that council consent to the approval of the following routine items: the minutes of the regular session of council dated January 13, 2026, and the special session of council dated January 16, 2026 to be adopted as presented, that the Arts Advisory Committee minutes of January 12, 2026 be received for information, that the correspondence for information items dated January 27, 2026 be received, that council receive for information the Council Budget Inquiry Follow-Up Report, that council received for information the Growth and Infrastructure Council Inquiry Follow-Up Center and Bridge Street Traffic Lights Report, that council received for information the Growth and Infrastructure Napanee River Navigational Buoys and Boat Launch Reserve Fund Waterfront Reserve Report, that council received for information the Executive Services Ward 3 By-Election Summary Report, that council received for information the Financial and IT Services Report, amendment to interim tax levy bylaw for 2026. The council received for information the activity reports for executive services, financial and IT services, parks, recreation and culture, fire services, and growth and infrastructure services, and the E11 report for December of 2025, items 7.1 through to 7.15. And council received for information the growth and infrastructure 12 Marco Square offer to purchase closed session direction report. Moved by Councillor Davey, seconded by Councillor Hicks. If there's no further comments, questions, or concerns, all in favor of that motion? Opposed? The motion's carried. Items for consideration. Council Resolution Tracker update. Mr. Grant, I think you're going to speak to that, so whenever you get settled in, the floor will be yours.
Thank you, Your Worship. And through you, Your Worship, this is the bi-monthly council resolution and mandate tracker. So for council's awareness, over the past 2 months, which included the Christmas break, staff have completed 18 items of council's resolution tracker, have a further 13 in progress, and 14 have not yet been started. So overall, completed our resolution tracker items include development passage of a bylaw on rooming houses, implementation of new parking rules on John Street, amendments to the election bylaw, work related to hydro installation on Gap Park, public notifications related to surplus land, information update on community improvement plans, financing logistics for the fire department's new ladder truck, which I understand is weeks away, and a bylaw directing the proceeds of land sales towards unfunded capital debt, such as funds owing on 99 Advance and the like. You'll see the items that are in progress there, and in the appendices, you'll also see the full list and the status and how those items were resolved. In terms of mandate letter obligations, over the past few months, there's been a few items knocked off that list, and they're reasonably big items. So I'm pleased to say that we've completed and implemented a digital staff training platform. So that includes and continues to be updated in all compliance-related items. It includes policy items, administrative directives. So those are continuing to be updated, onboarding. And so we can also have sign-offs annually on things that we need to have staff aware of, such as code of conduct, that sort of thing. There has been the completion of work related to the installation of data tracking systems in town vehicles. So we have increased awareness not only of where our vehicles are and maintenance records and the like, and I would suggest we're going to learn a lot about how the organization operates and be able to make data-informed decisions. And when we bring budget items related to fleet, I think council will have a great deal of information with which to make their decisions, and that is the aim. Service level review on capital assets with a focus on fleet assets, and the completion of a new procurement bylaw, which is processes are being rolled out to staff as we speak. Training is ongoing and by the procurement officer, and then HR is preparing annual review of procurement around purchasing. You'll see the remaining mandate items that are in progress. There are a number of items that are actually completed in the queue and haven't come forward because we're trying to manage the agenda. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that council might have with regards to progress that staff has made on your standing items.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. Is there any questions for Mr. Grant with respect to his report or the presentation? Seeing none, we do have a recommendation that council receive for information the bi-monthly council resolution tracker report. Moved by Councillor Shank, second by Councillor Davy. If there's no further comments, questions, or concerns, all in favor of that motion? Opposed, motion's carried. Executive Services, reassignment of advisory committee duties. And Mr. Grant, you're going to speak that one as well?
I am, Your Worship. So council will recall that we have an advisory committee bylaw in place that guides how advisory committees are to operate. So with the election of Councillor Sean Davy, who was the citizen chair of the Recreation Advisory Committee, who is now obviously a member of council. We now have 2 members of council on that committee, and the bylaw allows us to have 1. So that's something we're going to have to remedy. As well, council may recall that in the recommendations from the Ad Hoc Advisory Committee on Trails, there was a recommendation for a new committee to come forward and talk about how the future trail development is going to occur. I have completed a draft mandate letter. It is my intention to bring that forward, but not until the budget is passed, because council has not indicated, by a vote of the majority that the money that is budgeted in 2026 is going to go forward. I have every confidence it will, but I'm not going to do it until you say yes. So there is going to be a position open for that. So I need to solve both of those problems. So I'm asking you to solve both of those problems.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. Go ahead, Deputy McCower.
Thank you, through your worship. I probably have a suggestion for you. I sit on the Recreation Committee as well as Mr. Davies or Councillor Davies over there. I would step down and would be happy to sit on the new committee coming forward, and that would just make things real easy.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Calver, and we'll look to Councillor Davy. Are you good with the suggestion that the Deputy Mayor has made?
That's correct. Yep. We've spoke on this and I think it's a nice clean transition anyhow.
Absolutely marvelous. I love it when a plan comes together. So is there any further comments or questions with respect to Mr. Grant's presentation or the suggestions made by Deputy Mayor Calver and Councillor Davy? Seeing none, I think, Madam Clerk, I'm going to venture a little bit off track here, but we'll look for a motion to receive for information the Executive Services reassignment of the Advisory Committee duties report, and further that council confirm the appointment of Sean Davy as the council representative for the Recreation Advisory Committee, and further that council confirm the appointment of Deputy Mayor Calver as the council representative of the to-be-formed Ad Hoc Trail In-Town Trails Committee. And does that work for Madam Clerk? Do I cover the bases there?
Through your worship, the only thing I would change is I don't believe that this new committee is going to be an ad hoc committee. I believe it's going to be a formal advisory committee. But yeah, to appoint Deputy Mayor Calver to the pending new advisory committee. Perfect.
Yeah, sorry about that. I spoke erroneously. So yeah, so if you have what you have, we'll look for a motion to put it on the floor. Moved by Deputy Mayor Calvert, seconded by Councillor Norrie. Is there any further comments, questions, or concerns with respect to the motion that's on the floor? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion that's on the floor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Executive Services Municipal Accommodation Tax Draft Bylaw Framework. And I see Madam Clerk going to the front. So Jess, whenever you're settled in, the floor will be yours.
Thank you, Your Worship. So this report presents council with a draft of what a new municipal accommodation tax bylaw could look like. This is based on staff's best recommendation, but we have highlighted in the report a number of areas where council does have some discretion. There's some pieces of this that are quite strictly legislated, and there's some places where you have a little bit more freedom to amend the bylaw to what you believe best suits the community. So at this meeting, we would either be looking for direction that you are happy with the draft bylaw and we bring it forward for adoption, or that you would like to see some things changed. Some other future things we will be looking for direction on. Staff believe there is value in council adopting a policy to formally say how the town is going to use its new revenue that is generated through this program, that it's not just going to be dumped into general revenues, but that there would be a specific way that it is intended to be used. And there's also been some discussion about the tourism entity partner, whether there is an option that has been presented to partner with the Bay of Quinte Marketing Board, but there's also been some discussion to see that we should see if there are any other eligible tourism entities in the area. So finance is prepared to issue an RFP on that, should council so direct. And their intent, I believe, is to do that for a 5-year term. So if council would like that to be a different length of time, we'd also appreciate that direction this evening. If there's any other questions, I'm happy to take those.
Yeah, go ahead, Deputy Mayor Coward.
Thank you, through your worship. I see we're looking at a startup of 4%. Is that correct?
Through your worship, that's correct. That's the most common rate, but there are some alternate options here. We did see everything from 2% to 5%. So if council wants to go in a different direction, we can do that.
Yeah, we just booked rooms in Toronto. It's 8.5%.
I'm not disputing the 8.5%. May I?
Yeah,
reply?
we'll see if Deputy Mayor Cowper's finished first, so.
No, I just, if we're going to do something, we don't want to, it seems like we're always coming in well below everybody else. I mean, if we're going to do this, we should do a fair comparison around and find out what really is or isn't. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Deputy Mayor Cowper. Go ahead, Councillor Hicks.
Thank you, through your worship. The 4% is consistent with the surrounding area in Kingston. Actually, Kingston is now 5%. They just put it up to 5. Belleville, if I'm not mistaken, is still 4. Quinte West is 4. Brighton is 4. Am I correct, Jessica?
Through your worship, the last time we looked, but these are subject to change, so we can do an updated comparison of specifically the municipalities right in our area of the 401 corridor. At the first time when we originally looked into this, everyone was 4 and Kingston was considering 5, but I believe a few more have bumped up to 5 in the years since we first started looking at it.
So if we could then as one direction, maybe just do a comparator. And I know that there's no motels or hotels, for instance, in Stone Mills, so I'm not asking you to go there, but for the larger, more urban centers surrounding. But I would say that 8.5% is not warranted for the town of Greater Napanee just yet. With Toronto, the amount of money that they bring in, they're also hosting international sporting events, like a lot of that. Their events, and I think warrant a higher rate. We'll get there someday, hopefully, but I don't think we're at 8.5 yet.
Great, thank you, Councillor Hicks. Is there anything else? Yep, go ahead, Mike.
No, Jessica, when I've gone through the rate, whether it's 4 or 5%, you'll get to do an up-to-date one on that, but your additional exemptions, your reporting frequency, your delegation authority, enforcement mechanism, everything here is, I have no real comment on it. It's all self-explanatory and another source of revenue. You know what I mean? You go everywhere else, you pay the same thing, so why not Napanee too? And we can use that money for different other things that we'll discuss at a later date, but no, thank you.
Yep, thanks, thanks, Mike. Go ahead, Ange.
Thank you, through your worship. Regarding allocation of the town's portion of the revenue, that I think warrants a discussion. I don't know, are we going to discuss that tonight, or is that something that people want to think about? If you're talking, I think it was $81,000 a year would be our portion, give or take. I mean, nobody's got a crystal ball on this, but you know, you kind of do one of these and see where it's going to fall roughly. I have some thoughts. I don't know if this is a discussion people want to have tonight, if they've really had any time to ponder it.
Mr. Grant.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, my recommendation, Councillor Hicks, would be Staff comes back with a report that identifies how other municipalities, with their portion, what they do with it. Perhaps what options are that staff see in Greater Napanee to maybe facilitate the discussion, and we make that a standalone issue with all that information, if that's amenable to you, Councillor.
I think that's reasonable. And in the meantime, we can all give it some thought ourselves. Where would you close your eyes and where do you want to spend the money? Because it is not part of the levy, so I think we have quite a bit of discretion here. And I've already got a list of 10 things, so I'll bring it to the next meeting. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Hicks. Is there anything else? And I think staff was looking to see if there was any real major changes or tweaks to this thing. And to me, it sounds like it's just a matter of confirming whether it's going to be 4 or 5% to be consistent with our neighboring municipalities. But if there's something else, I think staff are going to be looking for some guidance. If we can give them some guidance this evening. I agree with Councillor Shank. I've had a pretty good read of it, and there's nothing really outside the box as to that's not consistent with our neighboring municipalities. So would it be prudent, Madam Clerk? We're going to have to bring this back, I think, anyways, once we confirm whether it's going to be the 4 or 5%. But would it be prudent to initiate the RFP process prior to doing the getting the bylaw confirmed, or do we want to do it all with one big ball? Yeah, go ahead, Al.
Just from a process standpoint, ideally we would have the bylaw passed before I issue the RFP, so that we could include that as an attachment so that the bidders are aware of what our bylaw stands. I have seen it done both ways. They've included it in draft form. My preference would just be to have it completed, and we're looking at a July-August implementation, July. So just want to be cognizant of timing of that. However, if we need to delay that, that's fine, or I can include it as a draft, but that's just from my perspective. If we do issue the RFP, if that's how council would like to go, it would be a nice attachment to have for that.
No, and I think because there's probably not a lot of major tweaks that we probably could just bring it back at either our next meeting or the meeting after, whenever we have enough time to do it, then we can just finish it off all in one piece. And I know you, Ellen, you were looking to see whether for the RFP, whether we're going to be in at a 5-year range, if there's other range that council was thinking of being more or less. Am I correct?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, so just looking at the way that others have issued their RFPs, they typically do include a time frame of what the applicants can expect to see in terms of a timeline. So I do think it's important to include what we want as a term to be. 5 years is what I have seen, but open to council's direction on how they feel about that, or if they want to go to RFP at all. That's the other option. You don't have to do that. Staff just believe that that's a sure way to ensure that there are no other eligible entities other than the one that we know for certain exists and has expressed interest. It's staff recommendation to go this route, but up to, that's a decision of council.
Yeah, thanks, Alan. I mean, I personally think it's prudent to go to an RFP. I mean, we do it with everything else, and I think that's probably the best way to do this. So that would be my suggestion anyway. So, council, is there any other changes that you want to see happen, or is there any other tweaks? Because we can give the direction to staff to bring it back. Go ahead, Madam Clerk, and then I'll go to Councillor Hicks.
Through your worship, I was just going to remind council, we do have a special meeting next Tuesday, and I can aim to bring an information report with the rates and any other information council might have questions about, so that we can still stay on track to be doing the bylaw on February 10th if we're able to address all of council's questions at the February 3rd meeting.
Yeah, I didn't want to task you any more than you already are, Madam Clerk, but I thank you for bringing that back so quickly. So, is there anything else that anybody would like to tweak? Go ahead. I think you wanted to comment, Ange.
Thank you. No tweaks. I read through it 4 times. I have no issues with an RFP. When you do the RFP, I'm assuming that you'll include that we are part of RTO 9. So we would want whoever's bidding on this to be aware of that fact. You don't want somebody coming from out of Toronto. You want somebody that's, aware of the area. So if that would be included in the RFP, that's it for me. And Thank you, Jessica. You know how anxious I am to get this going, so next week is great. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Ange. Is there anything else? Seeing none, and Madam Clerk, I'm going to, we're going to tweak this motion. I think that we're going to receive for information the Executive Services Municipal Accommodation Tax Draft Bylaw Framework Report, and further, you're going to bring back a report with respect to neighboring rates.
Yeah, through your worship, I think council requesting staff to bring forward a report with more detailed comparator information on MAT rates prior to final consideration of the bylaw.
And will we direct staff, or we're not going to direct staff to do the RFP? We can do that next week, I guess.
Either way, through your worship, even if the direction is given now, I believe we would still wait on the bylaw prior to issuing it.
Okay, well, Council, do you want to do that now? That takes one more thing off our list. I see a lot of nodding going on, so we'll add that to it as well, Madam Clerk. The council direct staff to issue the RFP for the eligible tourism entity partner. Go ahead, Alan.
Thank you, Mayor. Just for clarity, if council's supportive of the 5-year term, I don't think it necessarily needs to be in resolution, but just a general consensus that that's a time frame you're comfortable with.
I think it would be prudent. We'll add her in, Ellen, while we've got this thing wide open. So is council good with the 5-year term? Yeah, seeing lots of nods there. So maybe we can add that in as well, Madam Clerk. Perfect. Is there anything else? And I know, Madam Clerk, you have what you need because you wrote it. So if there's nothing else, we'll look for a motion to put it on the floor. Moved by Councillor Hicks, seconded by Councillor Davey. Is there any further comments, questions, or concerns with respect to the motion that's on the floor? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion that's on the floor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Executive Services Community Initiatives Fund recommendations. So Kylie, whenever you get settled in, the floor will be yours.
Okay. Through your worship, the report in front of you outlines recommendations from the newly formed Community Initiatives Fund Advisory Committee. So just a little bit of a refresher for council. The first intake for the new committee opened in September, and it was open for almost 2 months. During that time, the committee received 13 applications in total, and all of the applicants are listed in the report along with the amount that they were requesting. After 2 meetings with the Community Initiatives Fund Advisory Committee, the committee is recommending 3 applicants receive funding. The first one is Children's Safety Village for their Access to Safety project in the amount of $7,500. Next one is Greater Napanee Connect for their Block Party Kit program for $5,000. And the third being the Rotary Club of Napanee for their Dolly Parton Imagination Library for $2,500. Overviews of each project is also included in the staff report. And should council go with that recommendation, any of the applicants will be required to report back to the committee based on how the funds were spent, how Greater Napanee and Natura Power were recognized, and how the funding impacted the community. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Kylie. Is there any questions for Kylie? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Carver.
Thank you, through your worship. So the first one there, the Children's Safety Village, where are they located?
Through your worship, they're located out of Belleville. So for that project, what they're looking to do is bring children from schools in Greater Napanee to the program in Belleville that focuses on fire safety, road safety, just a variety of different safety, items for kids to learn.
Okay, thank you. I just, my head, I think community funding is more for community-based units. Thank you.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor Carver. Is there anything else? Seeing none, I know the Community Safety Village is quite a unique thing, and I think probably the reason that they're doing it there is because they set up a small community, I think is what they do, if I'm not mistaken, Kylie, and so they teach the kids to actually, look across this, look both ways before crossing a street without actually taking them onto a live street, right? So it's kind of a unique concept, and it's really kind of cool actually when you dig deeper into it. So, sorry, go ahead, Anne.
Thank you through your worship. Kylie, I think the committee did a great job. I'm very happy. I know there's always a little bit of sadness that everybody couldn't get some, but I think the three that were chosen, and I'm thrilled that the Dolly Parton Imagination Library was included. It is just an incredible program. So great job. And I hope if somebody throws a block party, they invite council, because I think it would be a good time. I'm really impressed with that idea, and I think Greater Napanee Connect is really, they've come up with a good one there. So thank you.
Great, thanks, Councillor Hicks. Is there anything else? Seeing none, we do have a recommendation that council receive for information the Executive Services Community Initiatives Fund Reclamation Report, and further that council will approve the recommendations provided by the Community Initiatives Fund Advisory Committee. Moved by Councillor Hicks, second by Councillor Davey. If there's no further comments, questions, or concerns, all in favor of that motion? Opposed? The motion's carried. Executive Services Draft Patio Bylaw. And Shannon, I think you're going to speak to that. So whenever you get settled in, the floor will be yours.
Thank you, Your Worship. So this report includes a draft patio bylaw that was created with input from Fire, Growth and Infrastructure, and Bylaw. The new bylaw includes a list of recommendations that were previously presented to Council in October, and it mainly intends to clarify application requirements for both sidewalk patios and private patios, and update some requirements to increase safety and accessibility. Public notice went out on December 15th, and no comments have been received to date. So if approved by council, we would plan to bring the new bylaw back for adoption at the next meeting and then begin implementing the bylaw for the 2026 patio season. As noted in the report, although there are many requirements now outlined in Schedule A and B, many of these requirements wouldn't necessarily be new to applicants. They're just being clearly outlined in the bylaw now. And I'm happy to take any questions if council has any.
Great, thanks, Shannon. Is there any questions or comments for Shannon with respect to her presentation of the report that's in front of us? Seeing none, we do have a recommendation that council receive for information the Executive Services Draft Patio Bylaw Report, and further that council direct that the draft bylaw be brought to the next council meeting for adoption. Moved by Deputy Mayor Calver, seconded by Councillor Norrie. If there's no further comments, questions, or concerns, all in favor of that motion? Opposed? The motion is carried. Parks, Recreation, and Culture, Sharps, Receptacles. Oops, sorry, I got way ahead of myself here. Growth and Infrastructure, PLZACO 2025-057, 2891 County Road 22. Mr. Nant, you're going to speak to that?
Good evening, Your Worship, and through you. So I'm going to provide a quick presentation for the zoning bylaw amendment submitted for 2980 Run County Road 22. The application was submitted by Boulevard Group on behalf of the owners, intended to address a condition of provisional approval for consent, that application being PL Core 2025-042. This application was previously brought to a statutory public meeting on November 25th, 2025. For council's awareness, no additional comments have been received for the application following that meeting. So to quickly kind of go over the intent of the application, the intent of the application is to place the retained lands of the consent application, as well as the lands on the south side of the property on County Road 22, to be legally merged on title through this process into one site-specific zone. And the idea is to restrict further residential development. Through review of the severance application, it was determined to protect the agricultural uses and resources, the land holdings from fragmentation. The zoning amendment was appropriate to help manage development long-term. So this application has been submitted to achieve that, and staff reviews determine the application is consistent with the PPS, conforms with the county and town official plan, and will serve to protect agricultural uses long-term. Staff recommend support and approval of the zoning bylaw amendment as presented with the bylaw, and I'm available for questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Is there any questions or comments for Dave with respect to his presentation of the report that's in front of us? Seeing none, we do have a recommendation the council receive for information the Growth and Infrastructure PLZ ACO 2025-057 2891 County Road 22 report, and further that as the application is consistent with the provincial planning statement, conforms with the Lennox and Anthem County official plan and the Town of Greater Napanee official plan, implements appropriate land use permissions and controls through the implementing zoning bylaw amendment, and constitutes good land use planning that council approve the zoning bylaw amendment. Moved by Councillor Shank, seconded by Councillor Hicks. If there's no further comments, questions, or concerns, all in favor of that motion? Opposed? The motion is carried. Growth and Infrastructure, PLZ ACO 2025-059 70 Van Leuven Road. Mr. Nanton, you're up again.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you to Council. Similar to the last application, there's a bit of a theme with my presentation this evening. This application has been submitted to clear condition of consent, that being PL Con 2025-041, that received provisional approval. A statutory public meeting was held for this application as well on November 25th. No comments of concern have resulted following the public meeting for council's awareness. So to refresh the intent, so this application will establish a site-specific arterial commercial zone for the severed lands. So the intent of that is there's an existing dwelling that fronts Van Leuven Road. This will permit that dwelling as a permitted use, but also establish zone provisions, to manage that development long term. So effectively reducing the gross floor area, so it's not going to be further expanded in an area really intended for industry long term. It will permit it as well, just some reduced commercial uses that are more appropriate for a lot of the size that's going to be created through the process. Some consideration for environmental protection on the east side of the property. Second part of the application is to establish site-specific zone provisions for the retained lands, that being the larger land holdings. So a little bit of non-compliance resulted from the consent application for lot frontage. So the zoning amendment will address that. We'll also apply a holding symbol on the retained lands to be lifted upon the execution of a site plan agreement, working with the owner and their consulting group. The idea here is that the larger land holdings also going to be merged through a separate process. For such a large land holding, the larger commercial should really be accessed off of, not from Van Leuven, but accessed from Community, I believe is the road. Still learning. So just some nuance there, but nothing onerous for the landowner. They were going to do site plan control for any commercial development of a large land holding. Our review of the application determined the zoning amendments appropriate for the lands in question, conforms with the applicable official plan policies, the PPS, and will permit development compatible with the area. We recommend support and approval of the zoning amendment as presented. I'm available for questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Is there any questions or comments to Dave with respect to the presentation or the report that's in front of us? Seeing none, we do have a recommendation the council receive for information the Growth and Infrastructure PLZ ACO 2025-059 70 Van Leuven Road report, and further that as the application is consistent with the provincial planning statement, conforms with the Lennox and Anthem County official plan and the Town of Greater Napanee official plan, implements appropriate land use permissions and controls through the implementing zoning bylaw amendment, and constitutes good land use planning that council approved the zoning bylaw amendment. Moved by Councillor Shank, second by Councillor Davey. If there's no further comments, questions, or concerns, all in favor of that motion? Opposed? The motion's carried. Growth and Infrastructure, 6 Mill Street East Sidewalk Encroachment Request. Mr. Nobes, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Worship, and through you to Council. The report in front of you this evening is for a request for an encroachment agreement from Lee McCarthy, who is a tenant at 6 Mill Street East. The intent of the application here is to allow for a accessibility ramp to be installed on the north side of the building to allow wheelchair and accessibility related access into 6 Mill Street East. In the image on within the report, there is shown where a pre-existing door is located. It's been covered over with siding currently, but the framing is still intact. So the intent would be to reopen or re-expose that door and install the ramp as shown in the agenda materials. Where this is located is substantially away from the traveled portion of Mill Street. We have a sidewalk on the north side. This is tucked well away from the paved, very wide paved boulevard on the south side. There would be some minor modifications needed to the existing concrete pad that you can see in the image just under the window, just to allow for smooth transition of wheelchairs onto the ramp. And there wouldn't be any conflicting issues with the curb stop for the water services to the building based on our review. So given all of that, staff see this as a minor request. What we're recommending is that an encroachment agreement be entered into to allow for the ramp to be located within the municipal right of way, but indemnify the municipality of any potential issues that might result from occupants' use or patrons' use of that ramp. So the details of what we would build into that agreement are contained within the staff recommendation. And ultimately, given all things considered, it's a unique location, unique site specifically that this would service, and staff are ultimately supportive based on our review. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you, Mr. Knowles. Is there any questions or comments? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Cower.
Thank you, through your worship. What is the overall height of the ramp? Do we know that?
Sorry, ballpark, just looking at, there was a historic image provided, and it appears that there might be about I'd say just over a foot, maybe 14 inches from grade up. So it's not very high overall, but it does need to meet the maximum slope under the building code for accessibility needs. So it's going to be a little bit long, but not very high.
Okay, no, thank you. I was just looking at roughly the location of where the doorway, the existing doorway is, it's covered to the concrete pad. I just wonder why they put a doorway so high up and so far away from the concrete pad. That doesn't really make any sense. But anyways, I was just curious more on the height, because I know there is so many inch per foot or whatever of climb for wheelchair ramps. I just want to make sure there's enough room there.
Yep, and through your worship to Deputy Mayor Calvary, there was a historic image provided by the applicant of where this door was, and for some reason it was offset from that pad. I'm uncertain as to why.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you, Deputy Mayor Cower. Is there anything else? Seeing none, we do have a recommendation the council receive for information on the growth and infrastructure 6 Mill Street East sidewalk encroachment request report, and further that council approves the request for an encroachment agreement from Lee McCarthy for 6 Mill Street East for the purpose of installing a ramp to provide improved accessibility to its premises, and authorize the mayor and clerk to execute an agreement for this purpose, subject to the following conditions. The applicant be granted an encroachment license to permit installation of a prefabricated aluminum ramp in the Mill Street East right-of-way, and the right to perform normal repairs, maintenance, and upkeep on the ramp, but not receive any additional easements or rights to the property. No future expansions to the encroachment be permitted without the written consent of the town. The applicant shall indemnify the town from any liability arising from the granting of the encroachment, and the applicant shall make no claims against the town in respect to the damage to the encroachment arising from normal and expected use of the town's lands. Moved by Councillor Shank, second by Councillor Hicks. If there's no further comments, questions, or concerns, all in favor of that motion? Opposed? The motion's carried. Parks, Recreation, and Culture, Sharps Receptacles. Now we're up to Chris. So sorry, I tried to get you up there sooner, Chris. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Your Worship. So in late 2024, Council directed staff to continue discussions with community partners regarding the installation of Sharps containers in high-traffic public areas. So currently, the Southeast Health Unit, formerly KFLNA Public Health, has community kiosks for safe disposal of Sharps at the following locations: Lower East Street, Lower John Street, 99 Advance Avenue, and 26 Dundas Street. So town staff, working with the community partner, are recommending that we add 2 more locations to the above list of community kiosks to be located at Springside Park and Conservation Park, 2 of our obviously busiest parks right here in town. Once the community kiosks are purchased and installed by the town, the team from Southeast Health Unit would be happy to add a couple more Sharps bins into their Napanee schedule along with their current ones. So they would monitor and service the receptacles, which will include liner removal, replacement, and disposal. The cost to purchase these two new Sharps receptacles is just over $3,500. There will likely be additional requirements to install a concrete pad for the full installation cost, which we just haven't got cost estimates yet. So a little bit more with those requirements. So these costs can be absorbed in the park's operating budget, likely would fall under the new equipment line in our parks. So like I said, operationally, the town, once we buy them and install them, we're kind of done. And then the health unit would take over and they would service those locations along with the ones that they already do in town. With council approval, park staff would prepare to install those new Sharps receptacles in the spring of 2026. And just before I take any questions, alternatively, this was a little while ago that council asked staff to bring this back. So if there's any different thoughts now, council may choose not to purchase these. And also council may choose to consider alternative locations. So happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Is there any questions? Go ahead, Councillor Nori.
Thank you, Chris. What is the hopes? Because hardcore users will not be dropping them in there. My concern is citizens just seeing them picking them up, bodily fluids on them, or staff expected to pick them up. What are the hopes of putting these in the parks instead of doing enforcement the other way? I'm just curious, what is the goal? Because citizens will be wanting to pick them up and so on if they're just lying around and they have somewhere to put them. But if they have nowhere to put them, maybe they won't pick them up. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but I'm concerned about the do-gooders who want to help out. You know what I mean?
I think Mr. Grant wanted to weigh in, so go ahead, Mr. Grant.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, and I'm sure Mr. Brown can add to anything I might have missed. So Councillor, I think that the intent behind this would be to provide an option, much like the encampment protocol. It would involve some public education with our partners to make the option available. I think our thinking behind that and with public health is if we don't provide the option, then it won't happen. And if we provide the option with some education, I think there's a chance at that. And we can certainly also, if we find that there is an intention or a risk of the average citizen looking to pick these things up and put them out, we can certainly put some signage around that. But yeah, the intent was to make them available so they could be used.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Grant. Go ahead, Councillor Nori.
Thank you. It'd be strong education, but yes, we have to cover ourselves and the public because people mean to do well, but from my past life, you don't want to touch those things.
Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Brown, I certainly agree with those two locations having a Sharps box put there because that seems to be where we have people dropping them in the parks, both parks. I know Springside sometimes gets quite a few down there, so that's probably a good idea there for sure. I'm just questioning the other 4 locations that already have them. And I'm not suggesting there's a lot of drug users at 99 Vance Avenue by any means, but is there a lot of, are they used regularly, all 4 of those locations? Or are they basically empty a lot of the time?
So through your worship, so I can't really speak to that because it is a program that the public health unit has. So they go around and do all the servicing of those locations, and they have identified those locations as part of their program. They also have these kiosks in other communities as well. So I can't really speak to the operations of if they're full or if they're not full, just because we haven't had experience in servicing those locations. And I just wanted to also note to Councillor Nori, it is usually the practice of the community to notify if they do see Sharps in the parks or in the playgrounds, which we respond as quickly as possible to that. Our staff, while we can do a better job with training, with Sharps handling, we are going to continue to provide them with that training and make sure that they're also safe. Certainly, if the public does witness Sharps, please let us know. We're happy to come and assist with the safe disposal.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Go ahead, Councillor Hicks.
Thank you. Through you, Your Worship. Councillor Martin touched on this, but I just want to take it a little bit further. Is there any way of having Southeast Public Health report on quantities that are picked up at these locations? They must be tracking it anyway. Can they share that with town staff?
Yeah, through your worship, I can certainly request that. They might already be doing that with their existing kiosks. And so if they are, I'm sure that they can include our 2 new locations with that report.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Councillor Hicks. Is there anything else? Deputy Mayor Calver.
Thank you, through your worship. So, yeah, as Councillor Hicks was stating, if we had a number of, which ones are being used, maybe the one at 99 Advance isn't being used at all or much. Maybe we could relocate that and then just add another one. I just can't get over the price of $1,700 a piece for a bucket to drop needles in. And I do agree, like I've seen them at Springside Park, and that's a very high use. Spent more time there, obviously, with the hatchery than I do with conservation parks. So I just trying to get my head around the price of it, that's all. And if we could, find a way that we could relocate one that's already in existence, maybe that's a cost savings. I don't know. Just food for thought.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor Calver. Go ahead, Councillor Hicks.
Thank you. Through you, Your Worship. So I just want to remind everyone that Sharps containers are also used if you are on insulin as a diabetic. And with the public health, well, I don't know if they're still in the building or not, but there is traffic at 99 Advance, and there may be people even working in the building, I don't know, but having that Sharps container there, I think, is necessary. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Hicks. Is there anything else? We do have a recommendation the council received for information, Parks, Recreation, Culture, Sharps Receptacles Report, and further the council approve the purchase and installation of 2 Sharps receptacles to be placed at Springside Park and Conservation Park, and further council approve the operational plan for servicing both locations. Do we have a mover and a seconder for that? Moved by Councillor Shank, seconded by Councillor Martin. Is there any further comments, questions, or concerns with respect to that motion? Councillor Shank.
The reason why I moved that is, guys, it's a sad state of affairs that we have to have Sharps containers in our parks, but that is the reality of today. So if I can alleviate a child running in a park that gets stuck by a Sharp by having a container there, it's like we had the deputation of the elderly people about the autism child. All right. So if any way we can help and prevent something like this, all right, we have to do it. We have our encampment bylaw. It's mitigated a lot of that. But all I'm saying is and Councillor Hicks has already asked that we could go ahead and maybe get what the tonnage is or whatever the weight is that's coming out of these places. But I mean, then you can see what is used and what isn't used, but it's the reality of today, and it's a sad state of affairs, but we definitely have to have something that there rather than having putting our staff at risk or having any of the, ratepayers that are using these parks also.
Thanks, Mike. Go ahead, Councillor Davey.
Through you, Mayor, just curious, Chris, this container that's been specified in the report, is that something that they've recommended through public health, or this is something you found yourselves?
Yeah, thank you, through your worship, to Councillor Davey. So yes, this is a recommended unit. This is what they have at all the other locations. It's actually a newer model than some of the older ones, but it's also the ones that they're recommending we install, just so that they have the liners and the replacements of everything that's the same. We did ask about different options because it is quite expensive, but they are fairly large. I'm assuming that's to limit the amount of times they need to come back. But if you recall, and I assume maybe we've just passed by it because you're not looking for it, but the one at 99, it's very similar to that. It's just a newer model.
Great. Thanks, Councillor Davy, and thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Grant.
So you, Mr. Merritt, and we can also learn some of the various uses for them. So 99 Advance also hosts vaccine clinics on a regular basis. So I suspect that might be one of the reasons that they have it there. They have that, fairly regularly. But we can see if that information is available, some of the reasons they have that and some of the rationales, and then certainly report back to council on that.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Grant. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I wasn't necessarily trying to point out 99 Advance because the four that we have now, I was more curious about whether, for instance, they're all in my ward for one thing. And that's fine, but I just curious why Lower East, Lower John, 28 Dundas, why those locations particularly? Are they well populated with drug use, or is it something that can be changed, move to where? I agree with the two at the parks, by the way. That's essential. It should have been there in the first place, in my opinion. But I'm just curious about those other 4 locations. That's all.
Yeah, so through your worship, again, it's public health program, so I would have to ask them to provide me with that information, and then we can certainly report back to council with our findings.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks, Councillor Martin. Is there anything else? Seeing none, I do believe, Madam Clerk, we do have a motion on the floor. If my memory serves me right. If there's nothing further, we'll call for the vote. All in favor of the motion that's on the floor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Parks, I suppose we're a little bit over our legislative break time, aren't we, Madam Clerk? Okay. I'm getting an indication that we want to push through, and if that's the case, we'll push through with Parks, Recreation, Culture, Gap Park, Hydro Connections. And Mr. Brown, that's yours as well.
Thank you, Your Worship. So at regular session of council on October 14th, Councillor Shank asked for information about the cost implications of extending hydro to the town-owned park across from Ontario Plant, our Upper Gap Park. On November 25th, staff presented a council inquiry follow-up report detailing those cost implications. All in, roughly, the total expected cost is just over $5,600. After reviewing the follow-up report, council directed staff to report back with options for consideration as well as recommended policy changes to ensure fairness and transparency. The attached draft bylaw to licensed refreshment vehicles has been amended to include this type of request and how the town will process these requests in the future. In Schedule B of the attached draft bylaw, it states, at council's discretion, electrical services may be extended to any park permit location on such terms and conditions as council deems appropriate for the specific circumstances. As a general rule, the cost to extend services shall be borne by the applicant permit holder unless council determines that there is a broader community benefit to the service extension that would justify a municipal contribution toward the costs. Staff are proposing that council approve the installation of basic hydro connection at Upper Gap Park to accommodate the mobile food vending operations for Bath Burgers, who occupied the park space last season. Staff are also recommending that the full cost of the basic hydro connection is borne by the applicant permit holder. If council approves, staff will enter into an agreement with Bath Burgers for that cost recovery. And while the bylaw states that there's no guarantee of preferred site renewal each year, given the cost of installation, council may also direct that the cost recovery agreement be spread over a number of years or include a condition of being able to operate at the site for multiple years, which we would expect that be the case. I have detailed some of the financial implications. So obviously the expected total cost is just over $5,600. That would be borne by the applicant. But I just threw in the annual license fees and the annual permit fees in there for council's awareness. So Bath Burgers would be looking at paying us for the hydro connection, the work that needs to be done. A lot of that work is being done in-house. We're working with Hydro One for the basic connection, but then our town electricians and also public works staff are needed to dig a trench and do the hookup. So we are trying to keep that cost as low as possible for the applicant by doing much of the work in-house, but staff do feel that that cost should be borne by the applicant permit holder. We would aim to have this necessary work completed by late spring, just to make sure that they have hydro for their food vending season. I'm happy to answer any questions council may have.
Thanks, Chris. Go ahead, Councillor Harris.
Thank you, through your worship. This is very good news for Bath Burgers. I have a question. They operate seasonally, so can the power be shut off during the off season? Is that possible?
Through your worship, yes, that is possible.
And do we agree that that would be done?
Through your worship, I think that that's probably the best approach, because when you have a hydro connection, even if you don't use any hydro, you're still paying a small fee each month for their surcharges and whatnot.
Okay, that's it for me. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Hicks. Go ahead, Councillor Shank. You're reaching for the mic.
I'm gonna defer this question to Councillor Davy. He knows more about electricity than any of us here would ever dream of knowing. So he's in the business. This all makes sense, Councillor Davy.
Everything seems to make sense. That's correct. Yep.
That's good enough for me.
Yeah, and thank you for putting Councillor Davy on the spot, Councillor Shank. Deputy Mayor Calver.
Thank you, through your worship. So, yeah, has anybody talked to the Bath Burgers to see if they would take on that amount to have hydro put in?
Yeah, through your worship, the Bath Burgers, they've been very good to work with. They're grateful that the town is considering this, and said they would be happy to work with town staff to come up with some sort of agreement to pay for this, whether that be over a period of time or whether there was consideration for some municipal contribution. Either way, they were happy that we were considering it, and they just really want hydro at this location so that they can operate their business as effectively as they did last season.
Yeah, because I know the generator that they're running eats a lot of fuel up. Just my concern is I would hate to see, them kick out $5,600 and then throw it there for, maybe 2 more years or whatever. And God only knows what happens, right? So, yeah, just as long as we're fair with them and treat them right and help them out as best we can. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Calver. Is there anything else? We do have a recommendation that council receive for information the Parks, Recreation and Culture Gap Park Hydro Connection Report, and further that council direct staff to bring forward a bylaw to amend the refreshment vehicle bylaw as presented in this report, and further that council approve the installation of a basic hydro connection at Gap Park with the cost to extend services borne by the applicant permit holder. Moved by Councillor Shank, second by Councillor Hicks. Is there any further comments, questions, or concerns with respect to that motion? Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Sorry, through your worship, just because it isn't explicitly clear in this, is council willing to grant that extension of, for example, up to 5 years of being in that location to spread those costs out, or at least to give them time for that investment to pay off? Just wanted to make sure we're very clear on what, because it is a variation from the bylaw, we do need council's authorization to do that.
Go ahead, Councillor Shank.
So, Jessica, Chris has been dealing with these ladies, and so I don't know what the impact is, what they're willing to do or what they're not willing to do. Of course, if I was them, I'd like to break it out over a couple of years or give them the option to feel it out. But you're in negotiations with them. They provided an excellent asset last year. So what you feel, you're the one you've been negotiating with them all the way along. And so I think we should, I don't know how we would do it, but give Chris the latitude in the CAO, the latitude with the mayor consultation, you know what I mean, of doing the best deal that you can and keeping both parties happy, the municipality and the prospective people that want to do that.
And I think Mr. Grant wants to weigh in, but I think what Madam Clerk was suggesting is that we add a little bit to that resolution to suggest that repayment can be extended over a number of years, up to maybe 5. And that'll give Mr. Brown the authority to to work up to maybe 5 years, but he'll work with obviously the food truck folks. Is that what you were looking for, Madam Clerk? And is that what Mr. Brown was looking for? And Mr. Grant, did you want to add to it?
Sure. So through you, Mr. Mayor, and I think Mr. Brown alluded to this, but so normally for spaces for commercial purposes, with the policy we brought forward, we talk about a commercial lease and go to RFP. Now, given that this is a tenant that was the first tenant and they are aiming to make capital contributions to improve the space, I think that, staging out the payments and offering them some lease tenure before we consider opening up the space probably for an RFP at some point in time makes reasonable sense, because they're making a fairly significant contribution to that area and making it more commercially viable. And I think the trade-off in offering tenure, which also gives them the opportunity to space out the payments, is a good compromise.
Okay, thanks. And I think we did have a motion on the floor, and we're going to need a slightly friendly amendment. Am I correct, Madam?
Okay, yeah, through your worship, just and further that in recognition of the investment to extend services, council grant up to a repayment agreement up to 5 years and a 5-year first right of renewal at the Gap Park location to the applicant.
And we have a friendly amendment. Who are our movers and seconders? Was it Councillor Shank, Councillor Hicks, if I'm not mistaken? It is now. So Councillor Shank and Councillor Hicks, you're good with that? Is there any further comments, questions, or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion is on the floor. Opposed, the motion is carried. Bylaws. First bylaw number 2026-0010 to amend zoning bylaw 02-22 PLZ ACO 2025-057. We'll look for a motion to put it on the floor. Moved by Deputy Mayor Cowper, seconded by Councillor Davey. Ready first, second, and finally passes 27th day of January 2026. All in favor of that motion? Opposed? The motion is carried. Next bylaw. 2026-0011 to amend zoning bylaw 02-22 PLZA CO 2025-059. Look for a motion to put it on the floor. Moved by Councillor Davey, seconded by Councillor Hicks. Read it first, second, and finally passes 27th day of January 2026. All in favor of that motion? Opposed? Motion is carried. Bylaw number 2026-0012 to amend interim tax bylaw 2025-0086. Motion put on the floor, Deputy Mayor Calver, second by Councillor Norrie. Read it first, second, and finally passes January 27, 2026. All in favor of that motion? Opposed? Motion is carried. And bylaw number 2026-0013 to amend committee of adjustment bylaw 2025-0083. Moved by Deputy Mayor Calver, seconded by Councillor Martin. Read it first, second, and finally passes 27th day of January 2026. All in favor of that motion? Opposed? Motion is carried. Information reports from members. Is there any members have any information reports this evening? Seeing none. Inquiries. Do any members of council have any inquiries? Go ahead, Councillor Hicks.
Thank you. Through you, your worship. Michael, I saw in the growth and infrastructure activity report that we've taken delivery of the new Freightliner. Was it utilized over the weekend, or are we still putting the final tweaks on it?
Through your worship, by my understanding, it's running as of this weekend.
Great. Thank you.
By the amount of snow, there might be over its warranty by now. Is there any other inquiries? Seeing none, notice of the motions. I don't believe we have any of those. New business. I don't believe we have any new business. Announcements. Do we have any announcements? Any members? Go with Councillor Norrie, and then I'll go to Councillor Shank.
Just a quick shout out to staff again. We've had a heck of a couple of storms for a few days, and I've seen them out there all hours. And they're doing a terrific job, and I've had a few complaints, of course, as we all have. And I've made direct calls bypassing E11, and I've had fantastic service from Mr. Cuthell and Mr. Dwyer, and follow-ups, and the citizens are happy. So staff are doing a great job, and thank you.
Great, thank you, Councillor Norrie, and I know that we say that each and every time, but it's a tough job out there, and they work long hours, so I appreciate that. Thank you. And now, Councillor Shank.
this is more of an information that if any way possible, the county has gone ahead and has done a Lear study about prime ag rezoning a lot of properties that are in the town of Greater Napanee are, but for the whole county itself. There was 3,000 letters that I don't know how many were received on last Friday, but of course we couldn't get a hold of anybody at the county on a Friday afternoon. So all weekend long, I was inundated with a ton of phone calls. They have 2 public open houses, all right, on February the 4th and the 5th from 6 to 8, I believe. I'm not 100% sure, but but I'd like to have that information put on our website when people are looking to go, if they've received a letter, or if they have a comment or have a concern about their zoning on their property, I advise them all to show up on those 2 open houses to get this changed or to be agreement with it or not. There is a lot of grave concerns that I've seen in there. This is a first broad brush approach, but if you don't complain or show your concern of what they've done, you know, the county has an official plan. We have an official plan. I'm not sure. I still disagree why they talk about layers of bureaucracy, that why in God's green earth the county has an official plan and a zoning bylaw when we already have that. We know what goes on in our own municipality, but the county, their official plan trumps ours from what I was told. But all I'm saying is that for all the people that are concerned about this or did receive a letter, make sure you show up.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. And I agree with you. I would suggest that if you did receive a letter, you probably really should show up, because if you've received a letter, that means that there's a plan or at least a suggestion that there's changes with respect to your property. So it would be advantageous if you showed up, and maybe you'll agree with them and maybe you won't, but that is your opportunity to get the facts with respect to that. So I agree. So go ahead, Mike.
The reason why I'm stating that is because I received letters also, but when I looked at the map, there were some local farmers, dairy farmers. They had their property rezoned from prime ag to rural. All right. And then I've seen shoreline residential where you have a lot of lots go to prime ag. It makes no sense. Sure, some of those things are already going to be addressed, but all I'm saying is that there could be major business repercussions if you have somebody severing a lot right beside a dairy farm or a beef farm or a cattle lot, or somebody trying to put in a subdivision right beside somebody's herd of beef cattle. So all I'm saying, I don't agree with it, but we better make sure you show up.
If you got a letter, I would show up. Yep, for sure. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Cower.
Yeah, thank you, through your worship. We actually got our letter too for our gun club. But just be known that is strictly just a draft. That's a very first draft. There's going to be several more coming after this. And that's why they're going to be having the public meetings and consultants. And this isn't going to be set in stone in the next week or two. So, but yes, if you got a letter, absolutely take a look at your property, see how it is, and make sure you're happy with the way they've got it done. If you're not happy, you need to voice your opinion and voice it strongly, because if you were prime ag and you've been changed to rural, that makes a whole different ballgame of what you can do on your property and can't do on your property, and vice versa. So, yep, please pay attention and show up.
Great. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Conover. Is there any other announcements? Go ahead, Mr. Nobes.
Through your worship, just to confirm that the open house is on February 4th from 6 to 9 p.m. and February 5th from 6 to 9 p.m. But yes, we can look at putting it on our social media channels and the website too.
Great. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate that. Yep. Go ahead, Mike.
I'm just a little bit agitated over this. Sorry to bear with you. The only reason why is I understand that this is the first broad base approach that they did, but when you have a consultant coming out of Ottawa and then you have somebody sitting behind a desk that goes ahead and say it's our right to zone somebody's dairy farm, and not just one, numerous ones and numerous other farms, from prime ag to rural, and you think that is even acceptable, and you don't question that, and you even put that on a map, it just shows you how out of touch this is and whoever's running it. So all I'm saying is that I can't stress enough of the heartache and headaches that they've caused with this broad-based approach, or the first approach they've had, because I had 45 calls from Friday to Sunday, all right, let alone the other calls. And that's from past Selby all the way down to Adolphustown. And when you look at the map, if that wouldn't make somebody angry to even put that out, it just shows you where, wow, unbelievable.
Thanks, Mike. And I think there's probably just as many calls in the other lower tier governments as well. So go ahead, Mr. Grant.
Thank you. So through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Shank. So appreciating that you're getting calls, front desk is getting calls, other members are getting calls. So while we normally don't post information about other government's programs or anything else, we can certainly indicate to people that, due to the volume of calls that we're getting, we would direct you to these resources on the county's website, and also remind people that there's open houses. We could certainly do that because it's having a business impact, and we can take that as direction.
Thanks again, Mr. Grant. Is there anything else? Seeing none, CAO's remarks. Mr. Grant, did you have any remarks for this evening?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to reiterate Councillor Norrie's kind words to those operating the winter maintenance equipment. It has been a lot of work. It's been consistent work, and it's been relentless. And I know that they've been very diligent. And for that, I know we're all grateful.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Grant. Well, now we'll look for a motion to go into closed session pursuant to Section 239 of the Municipal Act in order to discuss confidential SR-118920026 land sale, 12 Market Square offer to purchase pursuant to Section 239 sub 2 sub C. Moved by Deputy Mayor Calver, second by Councillor Martin. If there's no further comments, questions, or concerns, all in favor of that motion? Opposed? Motion is carried. Thanks, folks. We're going to enter into closed session. We will be coming out of closed session this evening and doing a Horizon report. Great. Thank you, folks, for your indulgence. We'll look for a motion to rise and report from closed session. Moved by Councillor Martin, seconded by Councillor Norrie. If there's no further comments, questions, or concerns, all in favor of that motion? Opposed, motion's carried. Also look for a motion with respect to confidential SR 1189-2026 land sale, 12 Market Square offer to purchase. We have a recommendation that council receive for information the confidential SR 1189-2026 land sale, 12 Market Square offer to purchase report, and further that council direct and authorize staff to proceed with the staff recommendation as outlined in the report. Moved by Councillor Hicks, second by Councillor Shank. If there's no further comments, questions, or concerns, all in favor of that motion? Opposed, the motion's carried. Forward calendar, I know we've all had an opportunity to see it. Is there any questions or comments with respect to the forward calendar? Seeing none, and we'll look for a motion for the bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of Town of Greater Napanee. Moved by Deputy Mayor Cower, seconded by Councillor Martin. We had a first, second, and finally passes 27th day of January 2026. All in favor of that motion? Opposed, the motion's carried. And motion to adjourn, moved by Councillor Davey, second by Councillor Hicks. If there's no further comments, questions, concerns, all in favor of that motion? Opposed, motion's carried. Thank you, folks, for your indulgence, and we'll see you, I believe, next week, Madam Clerk, with respect to a budget meeting. So thanks again.